Alright, so a little bit of a delay, but thanks for joining me on my first live streaming broadcast here. And if you're new to the channel here, this is got a lot of IT helpful information, and in this particular video we're going to be talking about internet security. So if you're already part of the channel, thanks for coming back here, and if you're new to it, welcome, and hopefully you'll find this information helpful and you'll subscribe and ring the bell to be notified every time we come out with a new video, especially when there's a live feed that's happening. So I apologize for the little bit of a delay happening there when we started because of the buffering, and it looked like it wasn't getting a good feed at first. So anyway, I am just lining this up here, so bear with me because this is my first time doing a live feed and I want to make sure I've got everything lined up correctly here. So it looks like there may be some issues with the feed, but it's a high-speed internet connection, so I'm not sure why that would have a problem. Anyway, so as an introduction to this video, I wanted to ask you a couple quick questions here. Is how many times have you heard this saying that I've been doing these things this way for the last 20 years and I've never had a problem, why should I worry about it now? Or even, I've been using the same password for all my accounts and I've never had a problem before. Well, for starters, this internet's been available to the public for only 35 years, if you really think about it like that. So if you've been doing things a certain way for 35 years even, say, it sounds like a long time, you never had a problem when it's only been around that long. So you can't judge based on that, because things have changed so much, so fast, in even short periods of time, which I'm going to get into here now. So we're no longer in the day and age of gunslingers robbing banks with masks and that sort of thing. We have computer geeks that are stealing from people around the world with just wearing whatever in front of their computers at home. So my goal today is to share with you some tips and tricks on internet security with understanding of a little bit of history, where we came from, where we are, where we're going, and just helping you to understand the severity of the issue and how you can stay informed and stay protected. So what I want to do is try and switch over to my other live screen here so I can show you our little slideshow. So I'm just gonna try and do that here if I can. And okay, so hopefully you're seeing that. I'm gonna just check, and I don't know if you're seeing this screen here or not. Hopefully you are. And if I switch this back over here, okay, so the internet history, we first started off with just a simple dial-up modem where you would use a telephone line system and ring through, makes all those screeching sounds, and you have a cable that connects from that to your computer, and that's how you would get your internet. So pretty slow connection, and for the hackers like we have today, that's not going to be good enough for them to accomplish the things that they do in today's day and age. Now it didn't take too long before we got on to the high-speed modems, and that's something that when we were used to just having a direct connection from the modem to the computer, you would have a cable plugged straight into it. Now the problem with that is you're connected directly to the internet. There's nothing in between you and the internet, so if anyone gets to your IP address, they can hit your computer. So once people realized that, they had to go out and buy another modem, or router, I'm sorry, separately, and put that in between the modem and your computer. So that would act like a firewall, as well as the giving you wireless access and splitting the connection between multiple computers. So it actually would act as a switch as well. And there's the firewall aspect of it that you would get now. And then we ended up getting the internet provider would provide you with a modem that is also a router with wireless access and switch abilities where it can fit up to 4 devices. So they were able to do that, and because it's an all-in-one, it acts like a hardware firewall as well. Now, I forgot to mention here a little bit of the history in the beginning was that just realizing when the internet only came out was in the early 1970s, when it was only available just for the military and universities. And it was in the late 1980s when internet service providers finally got to give this internet accessibility to the general public. And then the high-speed modems only became common in homes by the year 2000. So, yeah. And even just worrying about viruses and that sort of thing, the first virus came out pretty well when shortly after the first internet connection was available. But the first hacker was out literally as soon as the internet became available in the early 1970s. So yeah, as soon as the internet became available, hackers started testing it and trying to see if they can get through. And especially because that's where some useful information was, which is the military, as well as universities, hospitals, that sort of thing. So let's move on to the next screen here. So looking at the firewalls part of this is having your modem connected to the computer directly, having this other router in between. It changes the IP address. So your modem would give you an address like 206.54.19.71, and then when you have a router, it would then give you a different address such as 192.168.0.1. It in turn produces another IP address to give to each one of your computers on your network. So it would be the same starting address, but .101, 102, 103, whatever it is for each computer. Now, if we didn't have that router in between and we ended up just connecting straight to it, we would have the same IP address as what the modem has. And that's where the problem is. Once they have your IP address, they can get straight into your computer. And I remember when this first came out, some ignorant hackers trying to hack, we could easily reverse hack them because the IP addresses were exposed. They're a lot smarter today. So one of the things that you need to look at is running hardware updates. So you have your routers that get out of date and have vulnerabilities. Upgrade the firmware is something that may be available to you, or you would have to then replace the router. But these things, it's not just about the software on your computer and having a virus protection and a software firewall. The physical device, such as a router, will also have vulnerabilities and needs to be upgraded. So if your router is really old, you most likely will need to replace it. If you want to get something a lot better than your typical $25 router in a store, you can get something like an IPS or IDS, which is intrusion prevention or detection system. And these things will typically be for large companies that are like a $10,000 Cisco router. And the good news is that we can get this even for home users with open source software, such as pfSense, and can't think now quickly off the top of my head another one. But I've been using pfSense now for a while, and that is free. You can just use a computer, old computer that you're going to throw away, and throw that software on it. As long as you configure it properly, you're going to have one powerful router / security system that not only protects you a whole lot better, but also improves the performance on your network. Now, some other things you might not even think about is if you have security cameras, then those also have security updates. And I've seen that just logging into our cameras, it pops up right away saying that there's a update available, so you can sign in there and get the update. But what you have to remember is eventually these updates aren't going to exist, and so you would need to get you would have to literally replace your camera. Now, I'm just checking that our feed is still good. Okay, so there's also other internet-based devices that you want to check out, such as a smart fridge. If you have one, it connects to the internet, and so it would also have security updates to it. The other thing to think about is password management. So one of the things is that you got to change your passwords regularly, but also drastically changing them. I've seen people do that, and all they did was add a digit to the end or change the last couple of digits. While it's not great, because if somebody already guessed your password, all they would have to do is change the last couple of digits and they'll get it right and they're in. So it's almost pointless changing your password if that's all you're going to do. So some examples of a bad password would be things like using your name or your pet's name, places that you've been, your phone number, fax number, any information that's publicly visible on your company site or even on your Facebook page or other social media. Because part of how some hackers get into your system is they're just doing their homework. They're looking up what information you posted online, and you have this information available online. You're talking, oh, I just got this new pet and this is what they look like and this is their name, and now they know when you got them, what their name is, what they look like. So if your secret question to unlock your password is what's my pet's name, or what color are they, or when did I get them, all that information is available online, so we could then go and reset your password on you, because we would know the answer to your secret question. Also, having the same password on various sites, that's not good, because if somebody were to capture your password, they would then be able to use that to log into other sites. Now, having a good password has got to be at least 8 characters long, and it should include at least one number and a symbol, and the letters having at least one upper and one lower case. And as I said, changing the password on a regular basis is important, because you never know, if somebody did capture that password, then they could be hanging on to it, using it, selling it on the black market. They could be just using it to watch and monitor your activity. They're not going to change the password on you, so you may not even know it happened. And if this is in a company, depending on your company policy, they may have something in place that forces you to change your password regularly. Something else is being careful of what you click on online. So in an example of looking for LinkedIn, if you were going to go to that website, I've seen people do this so many times where they will type it into Google and put in linkedin.com instead of going up. If I can change my pointer here to a pen. So instead of going up to the address bar up here and typing in linkedin.com, they're going into the Google search and typing it in here, which then gives you your search results. Now, looking at the first 2 results for this, the first one is correct. This is the real LinkedIn, and that's good. And I'm able to see with my virus protection on searches that this is a safe site. Now, the second result in this case is twitter.com. That is not LinkedIn. That's not what we're looking for. It says LinkedIn up here in the name, but because this is a legitimate site, they are also saying that it is Twitter. And it is safe as well, but you might find one possibly that's not safe and it says LinkedIn, but the green link is what you want to look at to find out, is it truly LinkedIn? So let's move on. Now, this is kind of big. It used to be a lot bigger before. People looking for free software constantly because some software is really expensive and other stuff, well, they just didn't want to pay $5 or $10 to get a movie. So they'd go online and start downloading the movies, or music even, which is not that expensive. But when it comes to $200 programs, then that I can understand that a little bit more, but it's still wrong. And because software companies are not wanting you to pirate their software, some of them have been caught in the past for purposely creating a virus-infected version of their software. So when you're going to look for their software, you'll end up finding the corrupted version of it. And of course that's where you would get the hacker virus. Now the other thing here is you want to make sure you stay on top of updates. Now it's not just you've got your antivirus program, it's running, it's protecting you, hopefully doing scans, but it's got to be up to date. The application's got to be up to date, and the virus definitions have to be up to date. Those are two different things. Your operating system, whether it's Windows or Apple's Mac or Linux or an Android, even we're talking smartphones as well as laptops, tablets, whatever device, whatever operating system it has, it needs to be up to date regularly. And the applications, programs, or apps that run on that system, they need to be up to date. And then if those programs can't be updated, then they need to be either upgraded if it's still a supported program but just a newer version, or if they've discontinued that product and you can't upgrade it anymore and they're not updating that version, then you need to find a replacement software program for that. If you don't keep your system up to date and you're leaving outdated, unsupported software on your machine, you're going to be at risk of getting a hacker that's going to exploit those vulnerabilities and take advantage of your system. Okay. Now, hardware is something else that you got to think about. Now, you will have your modem from your internet service provider. That would be up to them to replace it, and they may not call you and say it's old and outdated. You'll have to call them after a period of time if you're not sure. Your router, maybe you bought that on your own separately, and you would have to also look it up and see if it's not supported anymore. You can go on their manufacturer's website and look that up. And the switch, now this gets into if you're in a company and you would have more than just 4 computers plugged into it physically. Otherwise, even at home, most people are wireless, so that's going to be fine. So, but with the internet service providers now, as long as you're wireless, you can have a lot more than 4 devices connected at once, and they're all wireless. But this is an all-in-one device, so a modem, router, and switch all in one, and a simple phone call to your internet provider, they'll replace it for you. As I mentioned before, security cameras is another piece of hardware that's connected to your internet connection and in your local network. They need to be upgraded, as well as any smart devices that you might have, such as a smart fridge. As uncommon as I think that might be today, it won't be, or it will be a lot more common in the near future. Smoke detectors, home security, and thermostats all connect to your Wi-Fi, which go out through your internet, and so they are also on your local network. So all it takes is one device vulnerability to be exposed, and a hacker can exploit that vulnerability and get access to your entire network. So if I can double check on here with my live stream if I've got anything any questions or things on here. This is hard to tell. Okay, so a little bit of a delay on this as well from what I'm seeing. So anyway, in conclusion, we've got that you need to change your passwords drastically and regularly, and making sure that you're ensuring that there's a different password for every website that you're on. Otherwise, if they capture that one password, they can use that on the other websites as well. And don't leave all your passwords in a plain text file on your computer. If they get access to your computer, then they'll have that file, and now they have all your passwords, no matter how complex they are. Be careful what websites that you visit. As I mentioned in another slide, that you could type in maybe something spelt incorrectly and it takes you to a fake site that looks like the real one. But also there's been legitimate websites such as the CRA, which you would think is the most secure site out there, or at least if you're in Canada, you would know CRA is Canada Revenue Agency. And so that's where we're submitting our tax information. And they ended up getting compromised at one time, so they asked us to use the paper filing method for now, because they had to deal with that security breach. So if they can get hacked, any one of us can get hacked. So yeah, you could go to a legitimate website that is normally safe, and it's not that one time that you visit it, and then that's when you end up getting a problem. You want to be careful of the emails that you get, especially when they're an attachment and you get resumes. Now, if you're a company that has an employee that's receiving resumes and they're going through so many of them, they need to take that extra little bit of time, which I know it's time consuming, spending the extra time carefully looking at each email. Some of these, they say that their resume is password protected and they provide you the password to unlock it. There is no need for them to zip a resume and password protected. So if it's a zip file, don't open it. Ask them to send it to you unzipped, or just ignore it, because it's most likely a hacker. And if you respond to a hacker that's trying to trick you into clicking on the link, then they'll just string this along as long as they can until they can convince you to do something. Now, also, as I mentioned, don't download in any pirated software. Make sure your antivirus is active, updated, and doing regular scans, including your operating system, running all the updates, upgrading them if they can be, or replace it if it's an abandoned software that's not, maybe that software company isn't in business anymore. Upgrading all of your hardware devices, including the modem, router, switch, security cameras, and smart fridges and such. And if you're not sure of anything, then ask your tech. You can forward any suspicious emails that you get, and a quick question to your tech. It may give you a quick yes or no answer if it's safe to open or not, and can save you a lot of money and possible disaster. And the other thing also is to back up your computer, and can't stress that enough. You just need to back it up, and that's really as long as you have your backups, then you can actually recover all of your data. Now, it's not to say that if somebody stole your information, it's still out there. You can't get that back. But at least if your computer or network was destroyed and everything was deleted, you can revert to that backup and restore your information. So that, just to wrap this up, I guess, if I don't have any questions on here yet, it looks like this is pretty new. So to wrap it up, I'd like to just remind you how serious the issue is with the internet security and trying to deal with these basic things, and just incorporating some of the practices that I mentioned here at home and at the office. And if you're running a business, you can ask your staff as well to check out this video and start practicing these safe procedures. And this live broadcast, of course, is going to be available online for you to forward to your staff and other people that you think would be interested in. So that is it for now. Thanks for watching, and give this video a thumbs up if it was helpful. Subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of future notifications. Alright, thanks again, and see you in the next video. Bye for now.